Hello out there. My name is Laolu Akonde, and you are on to Inside Sources. And that's my take for today, entitled Obasanjo's Excesses and Atiku's Die-Hard Ambition. Nigeria deserves better. Now, there are stories of the relationship between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former Vice President Abubakar Atiku, and former President Olusegun Obasanjo that most Nigerians don't know. But here is the main gist. President Tinubu and VP Atiku belong to the same General Musa Yar'Adua political family in the Third Republic. Note as well that Yar'Adua was Obasanjo's number 2 when he was the military head of state. That was why Obasanjo could access the clout of the Yar'Adua political family in the build-up to the 1999 presidential elections, which he won, including his decision to make Atiku his vice president. Now, post-1999, when Obasanjo and Atiku started falling out, Tinubu was perceived by Obasanjo as aligning with Atiku against him. Obasanjo and Tinubu are known to have engaged on some occasions in open altercations regarding this matter, calling each other unprintable names, often at the instigation of Obasanjo, including inside the Aso Villa when Tinubu went as governor for a meeting with President Obasanjo. That meeting included the late Professor Akin Bugaje. As soon as Obasanjo cited Tinubu, he started raining abuses on him, even before he could take his seat. After a while, Tinubu couldn't take it anymore, and so he responded in kind. And there you have Professor Akin Bugaje of blessed memory trying to get in between them to stop the verbal hostilities. It didn't work, as the altercation continued and that particular meeting never held. Now, why is that story important? Because younger Nigerians must understand that some of these old foes have sometimes preferred their own personal preferences ahead of national and public interest. So what is happening now with Obasanjo retelling the story of how his greatest regret is making Atiku his vice president as we approach the 2027 election is a continuation of an old fight. We must be bold enough to say Nigeria is greater than both of them. So like I noted, few days ago, former President Obasanjo renewed his attack on former Vice President Atiku. Nigerians must ask, is this about Nigeria, or this is about two men who cannot let go of what happened in 1999, 2003, and 2006? Because the truth is simple. Nigeria's future does not belong to Obasanjo, and it does not belong to Atiku. It belongs to all of us. Let us start with Chief Obasanjo. Baba's foremost weakness, some people will argue, has always been that he believes everything should revolve around him. Country should revolve around him. Party should revolve around him. Constitution, all of those things ought to be secondary to him. For instance, the aborted third-term plot and saga is a proof. But yes, Obasanjo certainly played a crucial role in the national emergence of Atiku in 1999. Yet, on the other hand, there is record that shows that Atiku, who abandoned his governorship victory in Adamawa, also placed his political structure and financial war chest behind Obasanjo for the PDP primaries and the general election in that time. Now, in 2003, Obasanjo had to beg Atiku again for a second time. He needed Atiku's hold of the PDP governors to survive. Then in 2006, when Obasanjo pushed a third-term agenda, Atiku led the resistance inside government, leading to a frustration of that immoral bid to twist the constitutional term limits for the president. Now, just as it is true that in the Obasanjo-Tinubu face-off, it was Obasanjo who normally will throw the first bombshell, Baba has always been the first one all in public condemnations on Atiku. Yes, Obasanjo as president did advance the country comparatively. We must concede that. But his legacy also includes some rather damning developments. Let's recall a few. Do or die elections in 2007. Those were Obasanjo's words, and his actions legitimized the militarization of party politics in Nigeria. And it was during his tenure that systematic rigging of elections went to a worsening level. We are still detoxing from that. It was also Obasanjo that started the destruction of the PDP internal democracy when he hunted out the party chairman then, Audu Ogbe, who was trying to run an independent party. No wonder PDP is still reeking in that affliction up to today. What about corruption in the National Assembly? The Ghana must go politics was industrialized, if I can say that, under Obasanjo. Lawmakers were allegedly offered $50,000 each during the third-term push. Now, all of those things don't talk about statesmanship. Those are just excesses of a former leader. We should never forget. But we shouldn't spare, and we wouldn't spare Alhaji Atiku Abubakar either. It is Atiku's sixth run for the presidency. 1993, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023. Additionally now, 2027 is loading. Atiku was vice president for 8 years, and he has his own tons of baggages from corruption allegations to privatization scandals. He even owned up to wasting public money on power reforms without any tangible results for Nigerians. So when Atiku talks about rescuing Nigeria, we must ask him, why does he think that with over 200 million people in this country, we must depend on the past destroyers of Nigeria to fix it? Why is Atiku not throwing his weight behind a new face and people with fresh ideas and fewer or no baggages? Why is he not doing that? The Atiku we know and his effort to go for the 2027 polls, presidency again, has nothing new to offer. His campaign and his party are only attacking the incumbent without articulating how they plan to be different, at least so far. Ambition, therefore, without renewal is just recycling. And the idea of it is my turn is not a policy, even though that was what President Tinubu said in 2023. Nigeria does not belong to these men. Some of them have had their turn. We had 8 years of darkness under Obasanjo and Atiku. Nigeria belongs to a new generation with new ideas, and we must fight based on results, not on ego. We cannot solve 2027 problems with 2003 grudges. Nigeria should move on. Eventually, we should let Obasanjo, Tinubu, and Atiku leave the stage so that we can have a new Nigeria. Until then, at least, we should not be fooled by their personal fights. There you have it. Inside Sources goes full blast right after this. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today, I have an eminent Nigerian political leader of thought who actually started as a pharmacist, but then went on to areas of social science and history and politics, and actually also became a member of the Federal House of Representatives after having served also as a presidential advisor. He's an Islamic scholar, a leader of thought, former presidential advisor, like I said, and was actually the national secretary of the Action Congress in those days. I'd like to welcome for the first time to Inside Sources, Dr. Usman Bugaje. Sir, you're welcome to Inside Sources.
Loudly, it's my great pleasure. I've watched you with a lot of interest, and it's good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming. And like we can see, your experience is quite wide. So I'm looking forward to a very interesting conversation.
I look forward to.
All right. Also. So let's start like this. So if you look at where Nigeria is today, where do you think we are going? What kind of future do we have ahead of us based on where we are today?
Well, you know, our future is going to be determined by the choices we make today. And if we want a better future, we have to make hard choices. But let me speak to the potentials that Nigeria has. First, Nigeria at the moment is the largest country in terms of population in Africa. In the next 25 years, essentially 2050, Nigeria is expected to be well over 400 million. In fact, by 2030, we're expected to be 300 million.
Yeah, I think
and by 2050, would be 400 million plus. This is United Nations projections. And that will make us the third largest country after India and China. Now, what does that mean? That means that we are going to be a big market. But more importantly, Africa itself in 2050 is going to almost double its population and is going to have the youngest population on the globe. The mean age for Africa is going to be 19. 19 years of age. What that means is that Africa, led by Nigeria, because we'll be the third largest country in the world in terms of population, is going to provide the, if you like, engine of growth. Europe, for it to sustain its industries, its institutions, will need the young people from Africa. China, or Asia generally, will start aging. And then they will require, Africa. So the Nigeria is particularly blessed with this large population of young people on the globe, and with the potential to do a lot. We are talking about the future of this country. So Nigeria has a great future, not only for Africa, but actually for the world.
Okay,
because it's leading Africa in population, and you can see even as at now, the number of professionals in the US, in the UK, in a number of other countries outside, they are doing extremely well.
Dubai.
So we have a population that is generally more educated than the average African, and that is more mobile, flexible, cosmopolitan. And so we have a lot to offer to Africa, a lot to offer to the world. But we need that leadership. And we have to make sure that we take, we take the hard choices.
And that's where I was coming in, because, very impressive introduction that you've given, Doctor. And, I took my time to let you flow, because it's important to go to the depth of these things. But what I wanted to follow up is, and you repeated it again, the hard choices. In your view, what are the primary or the core hard choices, maybe 2 or 3 that we got to make?
Okay. Now, I may not put them in order of priority.
That's fine.
Even though I will try. But I think for me, the first and most important choice that we have to make as elite of this country, the educated people, the professionals, we as Nigerians have to come together, have a platform, and decide the future of our country. At the moment, we are all locked up in our niches, each suspecting the other, each abusing each other, and not trusting any move the other one makes. Now, that for me is a tragedy for this country. We have a country to build. We have a country that holds a huge promise, not only for Africa, but for the globe. And here we are, as elite, still quarreling over issues of which tribe, presents a president. I mean, the world has already gone beyond that. How many tribes exist in China? They have nearly 300 different ethnic groups in China. But who talks about it? Not many people even know about it. When you meet a Chinese, you meet a Chinese. if you go to China, they don't talk about, they know themselves, they know where they come from, they have their accents, they have, but look, what is important for them is how do they build China? Here we are quarreling on issues that are inconsequential. So the first hard choice to make is for elite to come together and forget about these differences and focus on where as elite do we want our country to be in the next 25 years. How much road networks do we have at the moment? What number of mileage or kilometers of roads that we require in the next 25 years? How do we provide food for the population that is growing? How do we provide schools for the population that is growing? How do we provide healthcare for the population that is growing? How do we provide the job opportunities for these young people when they complete their schools? What skills do we require? What are the skill gaps today in Nigeria? So these are things that the elite need to have a consensus on. If we have a consensus on, it will make our politics to now rhyme or to synchronize with this particular vision that we have developed for ourselves. So that's one first choice. So we have to make the hard
elite
choice.
consensus.
Exactly. We have to come together, irrespective of where we think we are coming from. We are in this country. Whether we like the boundaries or not, the reality of the situation is that we are in Nigeria, right? And so no need to waste time thinking about, somebody wants to live to go where? Where are you going to live? You are not going to cut your piece of land and find some place in the ocean and just become an island. It's not possible.
Absolutely.
We'll still be your neighbors, even if you decide to go away.
Absolutely.
So what's going to happen, right? So for me, I think that's one very important. The second thing is that we have got to put down the criteria for leadership in the 21st century. In the 21st century, what kind of leaders do you require? You need leaders that are educated. So what level of education will we require? At the moment, these things are not there.
No.
You have what you might call constitutional, if you like, provisions, finish secondary school, number. But like I always say, these are criteria for eligibility. They are not criteria for suitability. Being eligible does not make you suitable.
Absolutely.
So what are the criteria for suitability? Granted, you don't have to change the constitution. These are things that can be done without any constitutional amendment. If we agree as a people that we need a president that is at this level, a graduate, who can speak very well, even at the level of the United Nations, who has his senses and is not on is not on narcotics or psychotropic drugs. We need people. We need leaders who are versatile, who can relate to, and they don't have to be professors in economics, but they have to know economics enough to have a tangible discussion with the professionals in the field.
Right.
We have to have a leader who can listen to people in the field of medicine, in the field of education, and make sense of what is happening. And when it comes to policy making, somebody who can understand the inputs brought by experts and professionals, is that we have got to understand that 21st century is the greatest capital in the 21st century is knowledge. So we have to prioritize knowledge in everything that we do. We have to, because if you don't really prioritize knowledge, others are prioritizing knowledge. In fact, what is now transiting, we are transiting from the regular economy into a knowledge economy. So if you are not in the knowledge economy, you'll be left behind. The world will leave you behind. So we speak about digital divide. How do we bridge that gap of digital divide? How do we teach our young children coding, and so that they can understand algorithm and they can work with AI? These are the kind of things. So this prioritization of knowledge is a hard choice, because a lot of the politicians that we are talking about, that we actually have not, have barely gone to school. They don't seem to read. They don't have time to read. They are busy, all the time listening to songs and watching football and doing all manners of things, but what they should be doing as leaders.
Excellent articulation, Dr. Bugaje. And as you were speaking, it was just occurring to me that when you were talking about suitable leadership, that this is clearly, one of the core elements that we've been struggling with. Because a lot of the things that has to be done requires, a political will, which we haven't seen happen in a very transformative way as to many of our problems. And we're going to get some of them, especially insecurity. Now, but I wanted to ask you, based on your own experience and your encounters and what you have seen in governance and politics. I mean, Doctor, you were National Secretary of Action Congress. You were presidential advisor to the vice president, so you are not somebody who doesn't know about this. What has happened to us? I mean, how did we got to this situation where we are struggling with leadership that doesn't have the requisite, suitability in certain instances, but more importantly, that have not been able to summon the kind of political way. I mean, you work with the vice president, I work with the vice president, and one of the things, the vice president used to tell me when he reflects is that, look, until we get number one that understands these things and that takes it as that is driven by him or herself, that our major problems, such as corruption, poverty, will not be sorted out. So if you have a number one where you are just going to give him advice and try to persuade him or her, that you must put as number one somebody that has, speaks to this suitability. So I wanted to ask you, please tell us what experience have you had? How did we get here? Because doctor, you are a major actor.
Well, I don't claim to know everything. Well, but having been in the executive arm, in the legislature,
yeah, we're also in the House of Reps,
in the party itself.
Yes,
I can say that I have got a broader vision, and I've gone through the different aspects, if you like, of governance. I think the major problem is that a lot of the people who take this number one position or executive position generally, they don't come with a team. You see, when I speak about a team, if you're going to run a country, and see how China, see how Singapore, see how Japan, see how South Korea, I'm giving countries that have actually risen from poverty, from nothing. I mean, Japan after Second World War was basically ruined.
Nigeria was ahead of China in 1960. We are projected to be ahead of China in 1960.
Until Mao's time.
Singapore.
Post-Mao. Singapore was like Ajegule when it broke away from
Malaysia.
From Malaysia. So South Korea after the Korean War was declared the second poorest country in the world. But within 30 years, basically 3 decades, South Korea was on the cutting edge of technology. So the point is, a part of the problem that I've noticed from my experience is the absence of a team. A leader comes, he has his relatives, his very good friends all over around him, and always sort of telling him that he's doing well. Why not? Because they are on his payroll. So what do you expect? So the problem is, if you don't have a team, by team I mean for a president, for example, you need somebody who has experts in economy, experts in human capital development, health and education, experts in issues of governance and security, experts in even how to create jobs, entrepreneurship, So you need a team of people who, in their own rights, are experts and who will now come. And the next thing you need to do also is to create a nexus between governance, policy, and research in your institutions. At the moment, there is no nexus. The universities are there producing results, getting PhDs and doing, but that doesn't come into governance. It doesn't inform policy. Policies are informed by something else, not the research that your universities have done. First, I've spoken about the fact that you need a team of experts around the executive, the leader. Two, you need this nexus
between,
because it's like creating a corridor where ideas will flow. And sometimes when government faces a problem that it cannot immediately solve, they take it back to the universities or research centers. And these research centers, with the experience they have, with the linkages that they have with other institutions around the world, they can easily bring out.
Yeah, but doctor, my point is that why hasn't this happened based on what you have seen? I want you to give us some insights. Why was it a struggle? You know, I mean, I could tell you, I could tell you very easily that, you know, my experience in the working with a vice president was essentially that you were dealing, you know, partly with a leader who had good intentions, you know, but who doesn't understand the text.
For me,
for me, what was your experience?
For me, what you are looking for, or what you are actually, the point you are raising, speaks to our political culture. We have a very bad political culture, very corrupt political culture. Anytime you see the president or a minister or a governor, see the number of retinue around him, people struggling to go and meet. And many of these people, some, they cannot pay school fees for their child who is studying in London, for example, and they want the president to help them. Their car has stopped and they need another car. Their house has these.
Or they need to marry a
personal, personal issues. Because the idea of politics, and especially those who play politics at local level, is that this is somebody who is going to get into government. When he gets into government, there will be resources in the government. So I will help him so that when he gets to government, either he gives me an appointment, whether I'm qualified or not, or he gives me money because then he has access to the... So that kind of political culture itself, it captures people who are in position. When I was in political advisor after midterm 2 years, I was offered to become a minister. Already as a special advisor, your salaries, your whatever allowances, protocol, you are already at the level of Minister of State. Right? So everything, same with like Minister of State. But I visited a lot of my colleagues who were ministers, either for meetings or for different occasions. And what I see when I get to the ministries, a long queue of people waiting to see the minister. And I ask some of them, I say, how do you manage with this? He said, these are people either coming from my constituency or coming from this, or they've been sent with notes by some of my colleagues, everybody, almost everybody you see there is looking for some money to fix some problem. Now I said, then this is not the place for me to be. Because if the political culture encourages people to do these kind of things, how can the president even get the spare time to think through their problems? How can the minister? And I recall, I have to give him this, the governor of Lagos, Fashola. And that was when I was actually
National Secretary.
One of the things he did, and I wish other governors can do that, he cleared his government house of all this nuisance. He created an arrangement. You want to fix your car, you want to get, from what I can afford or we can afford as government, there is an officer, you go there. If what we have budgeted for has finished and that's it, and then you have to wait. But at least he protected himself. And I think that's why he was able to do a lot more compared to other governments. So I think the political culture weighs heavily on people, but it can be changed.
Okay, all right.
Because everything is taking place at the pleasure of the executive.
Absolutely.
If he says, sorry, I can't
do
this.
it, that's it. And that's the point that I was making about...
And I worked closely with some of the governors in the north. And one of them, I was to see him. He said, I said, I have a flight to catch, so I need to see you in the morning. So he said, can you come at 11 in my house? I said, what are you doing in the house? Your Excellency, it's 11 in the morning. He said, I said, are you sick? He said, no, I'm not sick. He said, so what's happening? He said, when you come, I will explain to you. I went and I found him with files in his house. And then he said, if I move to that office until 5 p.m., when I perhaps will be free, I'll just be seeing people with complaints, looking for this, looking for that. I'll not be able to work at all. So in the morning, the files are brought to me. I sit down here in my house, locked up, finish everything, and then I go and start meeting. So even meetings, exactly. So it's all the political culture.
It is,
and this is why we really need to make these hard choices. But you see, it happens because the politicians like it to happen.
Okay.
If you want to change it, you
exactly.
can change it. And that's why the courage of conviction is very important.
It is.
Some people complain to me about it, but they can't do anything. I said, you can say, oh, it's difficult, you cannot be. This is the lack of courage that destroys our politics.
All right. Very, very important point. And, I like your forthright perspective about these things. Now, I wanted to ask you, you worked very closely as National Secretary with the President. You
mean with the current president?
With the current president, exactly. The president of the day, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How do you see what the evolution of who he was when you were his National Secretary of the office of the party together with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and where things are today? A lot of people have said, no, it's different, that's not, this man has changed. What is your own assessment, Dr. Bugaje?
Now, I have been asked this question severally, and I'm just wondering, it's very simple for me to answer this question. I mean, when Bola Ahmed Tinubu was either the governor of Lagos or after he left as a politician, and by the way, he used to be a very good friend of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah, the two of them.
Oh, yes, they were very good friends.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they were all, in a way, mentored by General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua.
Yeah, they are true. Yeah.
And it's very sad that these two friends, so to speak, could not agree to fix this country. Because if they agreed within themselves to fix this country, they have the capacity to do so.
They even have the political clout to carry people along.
So I cannot explain exactly what happened. They would be in a better position to say so. But to answer your question, at the time I was National Secretary, we used to do a lot of meeting in the house of the current president. We used to travel together for campaigns, for meetings within and outside the country. So like we used to be together at several occasions. I have something that I think I need to, and our chairman, Chief B.C. Akande, was a great, he's still a great man, very forthright, very active, very truthful, and he has no room for nonsense. Somebody really who you cannot play with. And that, I think, gave us what we got, and that made the ACN to be quite different. So at that time, even if Bola wanted to do certain things, we could check him as a party.
The sexes could be checked.
Yeah, we could check him. There are things he wants to do, we'll say, sorry, we cannot agree to do so. And we're able to do so because we don't collect his money. We don't take anything that is, and I recall that Chief Bisiakan, even when he's traveling, as a team, he always prefers to travel with his own ticket. And sometimes he stays in his own hotel at his own expenses, just to be independent. And that's how, the political parties should be. But at the moment the parties receive money from either a presidential candidate or from, so how can you stand up to anybody if you are, on the payroll. So, but coming back to the point, I knew him to be somebody who is first a Democrat. He sort of appreciates the democratic tenets, and we rise up when these tenets, are being threatened.
Right.
We speak out with him. We go at great lengths to see how we can protect and deepen, democracy. I found him with books, so I got the impression that he reads. So he is amenable to ideas, and I didn't see in him a lot of what I see today. So and he was you could reach him. He was not like a monarch, with heirs around him. He was fairly simple. He was approachable. He was a person you can say, Asiwaju, I think we need to do this, we need to do that together. So I was quite comfortable and happy, and I was quite impressed with what he was doing as governor of Lagos, and even after he had finished his 2 terms, and as a politician who really wants to fix this country. I don't quite know what happened. Now I don't find that team around him. The team of experts and people who are really...
That he had when he was governor, and then...
I don't find him. I find them around him. And I see an attitude of that of a dictator, a monarch, somebody who doesn't seem to tolerate dissent. And I see things that are really surprising. And of course, if you read psychology, you wouldn't be too shocked, because people go through changes. And unless you do some kind of psychiatric review, you may not be able to figure out exactly. But I can see that he has changed. He's not the same person that I used to know.
It's interesting, and I know that you have answered that question, but that is the basis for trying to, understand the issue of, how political leaders emerge, because now we are dealing with a situation where this man that we all knew, to be a Democrat, who was in the trenches, fighting for the enlargement of the democratic space, seems to be the one that is now being accused of constraining that space. Of course, he pushes back. Like recently when he was speaking with the Catholic bishops a few days ago, he said, "Hey, no, it's not. There's nothing. They don't have anything on me. I'm not the one that is pushing back the opposition. If perhaps they're afraid of their own shadows." And he then went on to even say that, INEC is independent. He defended and spoke for INEC. I wanted to ask you, Doctor, do you think it's the job of a president to speak for an independent commission? And then, what do you think, how do you read the allegations that have been leveled against him that he's trying to constrain the opposition?
Well, the first thing I think is to thank the Catholic bishops for doing what men of conscience and men of religion should do. And to also encourage their Muslim counterpart to do the same, because they have an obligation to check the excesses and to speak truth to power. So we have seen what these people have done. I hope others will also take a cue and follow. But coming to the substance, it's only what I would say, for a president who has selected the person to lead INEC and who is interested in coming back, and whose spokesmen have gone out to say, in fact, whether we vote or we don't, whether we like or we don't, whether we agree or we don't, this man is coming to become the next president 2027 election. So these kind of statements, the mere fact that somebody who speaks on behalf of the president can make these statements and he will not be called to order, tells you what is going in the mind of the president. And for a president to come and say that INEC is independent, it's not his business.
Also,
he can speak to the accusations which the bishops, raised about constricting the political space. He can speak about how he treats his perceived, enemies, and you can see how people who had supported him, have turned out now to be. I mean, they're at terrible loggerheads, with him. But the issue really for me is that the president has so changed, surprising to a lot of us who knew him, that what he's doing seems to be completely shocking, to some of us. And somebody needs to call him to order. Somebody needs to tell him, Mr. President, this is not what you used to be. And it doesn't help you. It only makes things more difficult for you. What legacy do you want to leave behind? We have had a long history of struggling, in support of democracy, doing this, doing that, doing that. Now you have an opportunity to basically put the icing on the cake. And now you are destroying the cake itself. So what is happening? What can we do to help you? Somebody needs to tell him that. Some of us try to do so through this kind of media, even though he may not like it. I had people around him saying that those of us who are speaking, basically advising him unsolicited, admittedly, are seen as people who are criticizing him. We're not criticizing you, we're helping you, Mr. President.
Absolutely.
We're trying to tell you what those sycophants around you who are on your payroll will never tell you. You better listen to us.
Absolutely.
You better, reconsider your steps. We still hope, as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you succeed. Because if you don't, we are the ones who are going to suffer, not you.
But at what point, when you say that you that we are the national secretary in the party that he was a leading member, when did you go your separate ways? And why?
Well, the first thing is I left the APC during the time of Buhari. We used to go to the villa for a meeting. We did the merger, right? We were in the merger committee. Merger,
CPC,
exactly,
ACN, and the other.
And a bit of the others,
Right.
and we came up with the APC. And after all that work, and after the elections, after General Buhari, late General Buhari won, we used to go to the villa for the caucus meeting.
Okay.
And we used to get, the normal activities to build the party and to create, And then we saw that people who were not part of the party, who were not part of the campaign, who were not part of, everything that we have done, have now taken positions around the president, misleading him, and basically focusing on just simply the resources of this country and ignoring governance completely.
Yeah.
And the president was spoken to. It's not that we just sort of walked our way, but senior citizens like the late Metamasuli, went to see him twice. So, Mr. President, that was General Buhari.
Yeah.
You seem to be losing your track. You are doing this. You need to come back to this. You need to. They did that twice, and when they did that twice, they abandoned. We went to see the then Senate President. We went to engage with the then Speaker. And we tried to do the same. But we realized these people have already gone their way and they were not listening. At that point in time, I left the APC.
Well,
That's basically about 2 years.
What about your relationship with President Tinubu at that time? How did you guys go your separate ways?
We were still working very together. I'm still very close to my chairman, BC Akande. I still relate to him. I still
up to now.
Go back to up till now. Up till now.
But not with the president anymore.
The president has become the president. You can't go to the villa except for with an appointment. And I don't visit my friends when they get power.
Yeah.
When they ask for for me, I'll be ready to come. But then when I come, I'm going to tell them what they may not want to hear.
Absolutely.
But that's helping them to do the right thing.
Okay, I wanted to back up something you said, and then I'll also let you to comment about what you said that when APC won the presidency, you found out that there are people who were running the show in the villa who had nothing to do with the campaigns. I wanted to, just give this insight, and then you make a further comment, and then we go to the other question. So, I am aware also that on the day that the announcement of President Buhari was made, there was this guy whose name we mentioned, just to, not to ruffle too much feathers, who during the campaign was saying to us that you guys are wasting your time. This guy can't win. This guy is, basically, and he wasn't making any pretense about it. It wasn't, it was very. And then a foreign dignitary, wanted to congratulate, General Buhari. He had just won. Wanted to congratulate him, so he got in touch with people that that
could speak to him.
Yeah, and yeah, so they put the call through, to General Buhari. Guess who picked the phone?
The same person.
The same person
who was saying that don't waste your time. Yeah. This man is not going to.
So as soon as he won,
they moved in
quickly.
Yeah.
So that scenario that you saw, had actually started even before the man got, to the villa. So I wanted to say that to back up your point. But the next question, as we begin to wrap up, you'll be surprised how much time we spent already. So why are you not in ADC? You seem to have left politics. I mean, you worked with Vice President Atiku Abubakar. You are his political advisor. You clearly you know what we ought to be doing. You have the very, very clear ideas of how our political direction ought to be. But you're not in politics, Dr. Bugaje.
No, I'm still in politics, but it's just that I'm not in ADC.
Yeah, why not?
I'm not in ADC because I have a lot of friends in ADC. Because I think for what I've read and for what I think I should represent, I am looking more about the future of this country. My friends in the ADC are looking at the present, the here and now.
Yeah.
A lot of them are people with personal ambition to become what they want to become. I have no ambition to become anything other than the student that I am and the activist that I've chosen to be, and I'm looking at how can I, give the young people in this country a glimpse of what is worth fighting for.
Okay.
So I talk to them. I wish them well, but I don't think today in this country, given the crisis we are in, it is time for people to nurse personal ambition.
Interesting. So
I don't think.
So which party are you in?
I'm in SDP.
Okay.
Because here is a young man who, when he speaks and when I interact with him, he has a clearer idea.
Yeah, that's the prince.
Yeah. He has a clearer idea. That's Adewale Adewale.
Yeah.
Has a clearer idea of where this country should be. He's a young person. I'm hoping that young people can see in him something, that can really become a model.
Okay.
But let me make this point because it's a very important thing. That today, I think the responsibility of politicians and elite who really love this country is to drop all their personal ambitions and say, wait a minute, what is wrong with our politics? Let us take steps to clean our politics and put this country on a better trajectory, political trajectory. I find a lot of the people in the ADC are selfish. They're looking it for themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in that company, honestly.
Okay.
I have not seen in them that readiness to make the sacrifices. And we need to make sacrifices if we want to really salvage this country.
Absolutely.
So I would prefer a younger person who I think has a clearer picture, supporting him, but more importantly, we have to build a party for the future. This ADC, from all that I know, it was purchased from Rafungosu.
Yeah, even the president said that too.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's sad. So where? But at least in SDP, and SDP was started by one of our mentors, John Shehu Musa Eradua.
Yeah, in the
over time,
Fourth Republic.
Over time, I think if we are planning the future, we have to really start from the scratch and build the content of a party. Because one of my major problems is that take any party, Laulu, ask yourself, what does this party represent?
Yeah, no.
Right? So in terms of, the APC, I don't know what it represents. It represents the 210 trillion that we still don't know where it is, right? If you take the ADC, okay, these are a group of politicians. Maybe they have very good intentions. They want to fix the country. But what really do they represent? What can I say?
Yeah.
So in the SDP, we are still struggling, but we have an opportunity to build content of the party. And I recall my own experience in ADC when we formed it. We had to work hard to build a content.
That's APC.
Sorry,
APC.
No. When we did before APC, when we did the
ACN. ACN, okay.
First AC and then ACN. And, we did that. We went around, the country. We brought in experts. We spoke to other parties in Cuba, in UK, in so many, to get their own experiences. And that was why ACN, became different. You remember in the coalition of the APC, ACN had about 8 states.
Yeah.
CPC actually had only 1 state. That's our state. The others have either 2 or 1. One of them has only half a state.
Right.
But the point is, building a party requires, a very consistent, careful nurturing, and building the content so that we can, subsequently have a party that has content that you can, you can say is defined by a particular kind of content, and hopefully this will be the vehicle of the future politics of the country.
All right, because our time is fast spent, but I have to ask you this question. We have just 2-3 minutes left. Recently, you spoke at the, I think it's the General Usman.
Hassan Usman Katsina annual lecture.
Yourself and Professor Ango Abdullah. And, what struck me was the candid nature of what both of you said, that look, there has been a decline of the core values of Northern leadership. So I wanted to ask you that, how much responsibility do you think is fairly attributable to the Northern elite in terms of the insecurity in that part of the country? I'm not saying that this happens only in the North, but because I want you, as somebody who comes from that place, and this view that you have made, how much of the responsibility for the insecurity, recurrent insecurity in that region, do you think is attributable to the political leaders?
Well, you have spoken about political leaders. You have also spoken about the elite.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to distinguish the current political leadership as different from the northern elite. The northern elite come, of course, in different shapes and forms. There are those who are speaking truth to power. But I think the political leadership in the north have become an accomplice to what is happening. They have been first complacent, but they have now become an accomplice in the insecurity in the north.
Wow.
They are beneficiaries because of the amount of money that they are spending in the name of security. They are an accomplice in terms of the benefits they get through their elections. I think they use some of them. We have seen some cases here and there, where they use bandits actually to rig elections. The mere fact that there are certain areas like 12 local governments or more where you cannot even, go. The schools have closed for nearly a decade.
As in the northeast.
Yeah. I mean, most of the states.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe Kano, Jigawa might be a bit, and Bauchi a bit later, but almost all the other states, suffer. My own state, Katsina State, suffers a lot.
Yeah.
Over time. Zamfara comes out perhaps the worst.
Yeah.
You can see that chairman of local government has been picked from his house, not on the street. And in Kebbi, a judge, or I think chief judge of the state, has been picked. So now it's not just a question of being on the road and then they go to your house and they pick you up and they take you to the bush and they tell you what they want you to pay, for ransom. And government has been obliging, even though they claim that they don't pay ransom. Of course, we cannot have evidence to go to the court.
Of course.
But
we have enough in the court of public opinion.
We have reasons to think that without this kind of payment, this thing cannot be sustained. So clearly, the northern elite have their failures, and their failure is that they keep quiet when they see things going wrong. The elite, the generation of Hassan Usman, Katsina, for example, will not keep quiet. Whenever they see anything wrong, they come out and they speak. And sometimes they take their car, they drive to a particular office and call on whoever is there.
Wow. That
I heard you want to do this and you cannot do it.
Look at that.
It's not possible. They were intervening. But a lot of the elite now are looking up to the governor to get something. So this level of mental poverty has driven the elite to become silent when things are going wrong. And everybody keeps to his home thinking that he will be safe. So now that the bandits are coming and picking people from their homes, I hope they will wake up and say that maybe it's time to all come up with something. But sadly, the governors of the North have not shown responsibility, have not shown. You can take one or two out, as an exception. As an exception, but quite a good majority of them have not really demonstrated.
Thank you so much for your forthrightness, your candid views, your brilliant ideas, and thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
It's my great pleasure, and I hope the elite, because that's the starting point, will decide to put down these tribal issues, come together, and see how we can fix our great country.
Thank you so much. I share that hope with you, and I believe that that day will come.
Very good, especially the younger people.
Yeah.
I do hope that the youth will ignore these old people, just come together and fix their country.
We have to. Thank you so much again for coming to Inside Sources. Thank you for your ideas. Thank you for your service, and thank you for believing in Nigeria still.
Thank you.
And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means Nigeria will win, partly because we will keep talking about the bigger issues. Thank you for watching. My name is Laolu Akonde. And by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition.